Wholesaling real estate. What is it? How does it work? Today we're going to talk about the top 5 things that you need to know in order to be successful in your wholesaling endeavors. Coming right up. Hey everybody, it's Jamel Gibbs here with the REI Education Academy, helping you close deals consistently in your real estate investing business. And on this channel, what we do are how-to videos and tutorials on real estate investing. And we also have videos of me actually investing in real estate live. I'll list out the resources mentioned in the video in the description box below in case you want to get started with these resources immediately. So let's go ahead and jump right into today's training. So today what we're going to do is talk about wholesaling real estate and understanding the basics of what wholesaling real estate is. And we're going to cover the top 5 things that you need to know in order to be successful in your wholesaling endeavors. Now, when it comes to wholesaling real estate, basically all you're doing is contracting a property and you're looking to sell that contract, which provides you with what's called equitable interest in a property. And you're looking to sell that equitable interest for a small profit. So if we put that in layman's terms, all you're doing is signing an agreement on a property with the intent of selling the contract for a small profit. Then there's 5 things that you want to keep in mind when it comes to wholesaling real estate and doing it successfully. And that's what we're going to cover right now. So step number 1 is really a twofold way to approach wholesaling. You can first start by doing it traditional wholesaling, which is going out and finding a motivated seller first, or you can reverse engineer the entire process. This is a strategy I've been teaching since 2007, 2008, which is to go out and find your buyer first, understand the market, and understand what the buyer wants, and then go ahead and simply find what the buyer wants. Today, what we're going to do is focus on traditional wholesaling. Now, when it comes to traditional wholesaling, the first thing that you need to do is understand who your target prospect is. Now, when it comes to your target prospect, what you're in essence doing is looking for motivated sellers. Now, what makes a seller motivated to sell? Really simple, really easy to understand. There's 2 ways to spot a motivated seller. Number 1, you're looking for physical distress. Number 2, you're looking for financial distress. Now, when it comes to physical and financial distress, the seller of the property, the owner of the property, or the property itself can fall in these categories. So here's what I mean by that. Basically, when it comes to physical distress, let's just use the property as an example. If the property is physically distressed, the property probably needs some work, or it needs more work than the seller can handle. So that would deem the property as a physically distressed property. Maybe the property has some financial issues. Maybe it's backed up in taxes. Maybe the seller isn't paying the taxes. Maybe it has code violations on it. Whatever the case may be, there can be some financial distress on the property as well. What about physical distress on the property owner? So maybe the seller is sick. Maybe they can't take care of the property like when they were younger. Maybe the seller lost their job. They're having financial issues. All of these things plays a part when it comes to finding property owners that are physically and financially distressed. The seller has some type of problem, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking to sort out what that problem is, and you're looking to target the people who may have a specific problem that you can help them out with. Okay, and that's what you're looking for when you're looking for motivated sellers. When you're targeting these motivated sellers, you're specifically looking for people with multiple problems. Here's what I mean by that. If a seller has a property that has physical distress, they have code violations, maybe they're backed up on their taxes, and on top of that, the seller has financial issues. Once you start finding these are your big fish deals. Can you narrow your marketing down to focus specifically on those individuals? Yes, you can. The problem with it is you're not going to have many leads to go through. So I would use a broader approach when it comes to start targeting these motivated sellers. But at the end of the day, just know when you have someone with multiple levels of motivation, these are the motivated sellers that you're looking for. So now that you understand what a motivated seller is, the next thing you need to know is how to target these motivated sellers. And at the end of the day, it all boils down to your marketing. In my business, we use a 5-point marketing touch each campaign. Here's what I mean by that. What we do is we focus on sending out postcards and letters and things like that every 8 weeks to one list. So in essence, what we're doing is we're hitting a list 6 times within a year. But in between those sends, what we're doing is we're focusing on multiple modalities in order to target the sellers. So maybe we'll send them an email, maybe a text message, maybe a ringless voicemail. Whatever the case may be, we use multiple touches in order to hit these motivated sellers at different points. You want to remember that marketing is a long-term play. I see far too many people quit way too early when it comes to marketing. I've seen people stop short. Maybe they'll send out 1, 2, or 3 postcards and simply give up because they didn't get the result that they wanted. You want to remember that people have to see your message multiple times over a course of time in order to build trust in doing business with you. Remember, people do business with people they like and trust. They're not going to just do business with any Joe Schmo. What they want to do is they want to make sure that you're reputable and that they can trust the fact that you're going to be able to buy their property, because there's far too many people out here doing the same business. So how can you outmarket the competition? How can you outbeat the competition? The key to it is just hanging in there. Stick with it. People have to see your message. If you do some research on Google, you'll see that people have to see your message at least 5 to 12 times in order to build that trust, in order to do business with you. You're not going to get rich overnight. You're not going to make $1 million overnight. It's not going to happen. But you can if you play the long-term game, if you're consistent in your marketing. This business is all about marketing. And remember, you're a marketer first and a real estate investor second. Now that you understand what step number 1 is, you know who your target is and you know how to find that target through you know that you have to focus on motivated sellers, and you also know that you need to market to these particular sellers in order to be effective, in order to get them calling you. So now what you need to do is understand step number 2, which is screening the leads. One thing that you want to keep in mind, I want to paint the picture for you on how this actually works. Screening leads is like digging for gold. So what happens when you're looking for the gold? Is it going to come to you easily? Absolutely not. When it comes to gold, you got to dig through the rocks. You got to move the rocks out of the way. You got to dig through all the dirt in order to get to the prize. And you may have to dig a few feet in order to get there. Don't stop 3 feet short from gold. It's the same concept when it comes to screening leads. 99 people out of 100 are not going to want to sell you their property at a discount. Why would they wake up in the morning today, give you a call and say, hey, I want to sell my property for cheap? It's not the way the business works. So you need to dig. You need to screen through all the leads that come in and understand that most of them will not be motivated to sell. But you're not looking for the majority. You're looking for the minority. You're looking for the 1 lead out of the 100. And in your market, it may be different. I'm not saying that it's going to take 100 leads in order for you to get a deal. In my market, 1 in 15 to 20 offers we make turns into a deal. It's a numbers game. You have to play the numbers. If you make 0 phone calls, guess how many deals you're going to get? You're going to get 0 deals. But if you give yourself a fighting chance and screen through all the leads and you consistently bring these leads in, you will eventually run into that person that wants to sell the property at a discount, and you will make money. You just have to hang in there, play the long-term game. Step number 3, once you find a motivated seller, what do? It's really simple. All you need to do is simply contract a property. Now, I see a lot of people make mistakes. There's 2 things that you want to keep in mind when it comes to contracting a property. Step number 1, you need to actually sign an agreement with the seller. You don't want to find a motivated seller, do all the work that it took to get there, and then turn around and start marketing that you have a house for sale, which is a mistake. And we'll talk about why in just a moment. What you want to do is actually physically take control of the property through a contract for sale. Once you sign your name on the agreement, you need to put this verbiage, your name or your company's name and or assigns. And that small verbiage there allows you to now go out and assign your contract to someone else so that you can make a profit wholesaling properties. Okay, so that's the first thing that you want to keep in mind. You have to sign an agreement and you have to put your name and or assigns on the dotted line. Now, once you sign a contract, in order to make that contract valid, you need to put down what's called an earnest money deposit or an EMD. I see way too many people talk about no money down this and no money down that in the real estate investing business. And that no money down verbiage will get you in trouble, or it will prevent you from getting a real deal if you do not put down some type of earnest money deposit on a property. Here's what I mean by that. In order to make a legally binding contract valid, you have to put down an earnest money deposit. So really, if you think about that, you need some type of money into the deal, right? Where people come up with the idea of no money down, what they're referencing is the money doesn't have to be your money. So for example, if I were to lock up a property under contract and I didn't have $10 in my pocket, let's just say, I can borrow the $10 from someone and give that $10 to the seller, and it's technically a no money down deal. All you need to do is put down some type of earnest money deposit. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can be as little as $1. Now, I've locked up deals with $1. I've also locked up deals. Most of my deals are between $10 and $100 down on the property. But if I do not put that money down, if I do not give the seller some type of earnest money deposit on the property, I'm basically shooting myself in the foot because my contract will not be valid at the end of the day. And what can happen if if I sign a contract with a motivated seller and someone else decided that they wanted to undercut me, weasel themselves into the deal? If they signed the contract and they decided that they were going to put down that earnest money deposit, their contract is valid. And if I don't have an earnest money deposit, then my contract is invalid. So the way to make your contracts valid is to sign your agreement, put and or assigns on the agreement, allowing you to wholesale that deal, and then make sure you put down a small earnest money deposit, at least $10. It's not gonna cost you a lot of money. You're not gonna invest a lot in order to validate the contract, but what you will do is make sure that you have a solid deal. And another step you can take, if you decided to, we don't do this a lot, but we've done it in order to protect ourselves on virtual deals. We simply file for a memorandum down at the courthouse in order to cloud the title and prevent the seller from selling that property to someone else. So those are things that you want to keep in mind. The third one was actually a bonus. So now that we've gone through the first 3 steps, you know who your target is, you know how to find the target, you know how to screen the leads, and you know how to lock up the contracts. The next thing you need to do once you have a contract is simply sell the contract. So how do you do that? You market for buyers. Now, the top 3 buyers that we like to focus on are rehab buyers, landlord buyers, and end buyers who have cash to close the deal with cash. All right. Now, when it comes to marketing the property, the first thing that you want to remember, the most important thing, if you don't take anything else away from this training today, the most important thing that you want to remember is that when it comes to marketing the property, you are not marketing the house. You are not marketing the house. Far too many people get themselves in a legal trouble, or at least put themselves on edge to being under legal trouble because they try to market a house for sale. You have to remember that in wholesaling real estate, you are not acting as a licensed real estate broker. In order to sell a house that you do not own, you need a license. What you're in essence doing when you're wholesaling is you're simply taking control of a property through the contract that we just spoke about a few minutes ago. And once you put that verbiage on the contract and or assigns, now you have what's called equitable interest in a property. You can legally sell your equitable interest in a property. Be careful when you're marketing your deals on Craigslist and on Bandit signs or however you sell your deals. Be very careful that you're not selling the house, but you're letting people know that you're selling your contract, not the property itself. Now, once you find someone that's interested in purchasing your contract, the next thing you need to do is do what's called an assignment of agreement of sale. You need to sign an agreement with them, and that assignment of agreement of a sale is basically an addendum to your original contract. You're adding that as an addendum to your original contract, stating that you're selling your rights in that contract over to your end buyer for a profit. You want to make sure that the attorney knows on that document that you're netting a specific amount on the contract. So you're going to sign the agreement with the buyer. You're going to take an earnest money deposit from the buyer, and the difference will be paid at the closing table. Typically what we do is we'll have the buyer send their earnest money deposit to the attorney, and we'll collect one big check at the attorney's office when we close the deal, or when the attorney wires us the money. But basically how this works is when you assign your agreement over to the buyer, make sure that you have the amount that you're going to make. Let's just say it's a $10,000 profit for you. Make sure you have $10,000 on the dotted line net. You have to write net in there in order for the attorney to know that you're not paying any closing costs. If you don't put that word net behind your profit, the attorney is going to assume that you're paying some of the closing costs, and that's just not the case. So if you're looking to net 10 grand on a deal, write $10,000 net on the dotted line. And if you do that, then you'll be very successful with making sure that you walk away from the table with what you expected to walk from the table with. Market to rehabbers, landlords, and end buyers. Sign what's called an assignment of agreement of sale. Collect an earnest money deposit. Make sure that you put net on the dotted line, and then you're good to go. So what's the next step? Very easily understood. You want to close the deal. You want to make sure that once you have a buyer, you're simply going to contact the closing agent. Maybe it's an attorney. Maybe it's a title company in your area. Whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that you contact them, an investor-friendly title company or attorney, make sure that they close the deal, and then make sure you get paid. Now, here's a caveat. If you don't know what to do with your money after you're paid, all you got to do is send it right over to me, and I'll show you exactly how to spend it. It's a joke. So what I'm saying here is, once you get your money, make sure you reinvest 20% of your money after you close the deal into more marketing, and then you can do whatever you want with the other money. Make sure you pay your taxes. I'm not an accountant. I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice, but make sure you pay your taxes and make sure you reinvest some of your money back into generating more leads. In the grand scheme of things, this is really an easy business to create massive profits with, but it takes a lot of work to get it up and going. Once you're going though, you can be very profitable as a wholesale real estate house here. Let's say that this house is a distressed property. This house here is a distressed property for sale. All right, it definitely looks distressed because I drew it. The next thing you're gonna do is sign an agreement on the property, and we're gonna put a C inside to represent contract. And then once you have the contract, you have what's called equitable interest in that property. The next thing we're gonna do is assign that agreement for a profit. So we're gonna assign the agreement for a profit, okay? So you have a distressed property, you put the property on the contract, then you assign that agreement. Now let's put that in numbers terms. Let's say that this property here is worth $100,000. If it was completely fixed up, you know you can sell this house at top dollar for 100 grand. The seller understands that this property needs some physical distress. So what we do is we lock the property up for 40 grand. Let's just put 40K there. So this property here, that's gonna represent 40 grand. It's a little sloppy, but you understand exactly where we're going with it. If this property is $40,000 and we know that we can sell this property, let's say for $50,000 as is, let's put 50 in there. So if I know that this house is worth $100,000 and I know that this, if I tie it up for 40 grand and I sell it for 50 grand, what does that leave me? It leaves me with a $10,000 profit spread, right? So we know that we can make a good $10,000 on this property. 40 grand, you know the house is worth 100 grand. You sell it for, you tie it up for 40, sell it for 50, you sell the contract for a $10,000 profit, and you put 10 grand in your pocket at the end of the day. That's wholesaling real estate in a nutshell. What you're doing is you're signing contracts and selling your contract for a profit. All right, guys, so that's today's training. I hope you guys enjoyed today's training. Be sure to ring the bell for notifications. Also, like and subscribe to this page. Be sure to tell all your friends, share this video with others who are looking to get involved in wholesaling real estate. And in addition to that, be sure to check the description box. I have some bonus stuff for you in the description box below. And if you want the agreements that we talked about, the assignment of agreement of sale, as well as the contract for purchase, be sure to click the link in the description box. And also, let me know if you have any questions that you would like for me to answer for you on future videos. This is Jamel Gibbs. I'll see you on the next one, guys.